Camtasia with the system sound plugin.
Yes, use OBS and then just set up a scene that has a window capture and an audio output capture.
Can you do that? Or do you
have okay, so here's what's happening. I'm only doing streaming, I'm not recording because so because YouTube, when you stream, automatically makes it a video at the end of it anyway, and I don't feel like uploading because it already is there. I haven't been recording because YouTube's going to do it, but because the stream keeps shitting out, I've now just hit the start recording button. As long as the as long as it doesn't stop recording on its own for whatever fucking reason. I don't understand why it's just saying it stopped streaming. Like it just stops and it's like, okay, you just need to click the button to start streaming again. But like, I didn't know stop streaming.
And like a time limit on the stream somewhere. Accidentally?
Yeah, is that like, are you still
Johnny,
there?
look at my screen.
Someone
3D printed that.
Oh, yeah, they sure did. They sure did. All right, so I'm making a scene that has what?
Do a.
It's an audio output capture and a window capture, probably.
Yeah, so if you do window capture, and then like you do a new one, and then you can choose what window you want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Jesus! And now that everybody can see my
computers.
I'm just going to share this because it's hilarious.
You're going to what?
And then the audio.
So apparently in Prague they have a museum of communism, which is located above a McDonald's.
That's got to be awesome.
And the poster advertising it, which I just shared the URL with everyone, involves a smiling cartoon bear with an AK-47.
Oh my fucking god!
And
I want that on a t-shirt.
It's kind of hilarious. Just figured I'd share that with everyone right now because
as long as that's not Peter Bear's granddad or something.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, maybe, but I don't know.
All right, best I can get with Chrome is it like literally captures the whole window, not just the tab. So I'm cleaning up.
So it's all
just
the porn.
Make it a new window, man. Just drag and drop.
No, but like whenever I open a new window, it by default, like because I have it set up that way, it opens like 60.
Well, just stop watching porn for like 50 minutes.
What? You can't just drag a tab out from your window without it opening 60 tabs that you probably already have open?
I have this whole custom Chrome setup I did so that it makes sure the porn was always there in case I did that.
In case you really, really, really just couldn't.
And you need to respect.
Not masturbate. Okay, whatever. If it works for you, it works. It's.
Hey, you know, we have to appreciate your dedication to the porn.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna see if this works. How do I play back?
I see people have come up with yet more Windows 8.1 installation floppy jokes.
No.
Bill, FLB.
There you go.
Okay, so you should see on OBS a button that says "Start Recording" on the bottom right corner.
Yep, I'm testing it now.
Okay.
It wrote a file to something.
So good.
That's what you expect to happen. When you tell it to start recording.
Not
it
when
means
you
it's
use,
working.
When you've used computers as long as I have, you don't have expectations anymore.
Except for startup time.
I guess that's
you accept. do you expect startup chimes?
I wish my phone had a startup chime.
I'm glad that my phone no longer does one.
All right, it's not recording the audio though.
That's what the audio output capture is supposed to be for.
Right, and so I set the default device because that's all there is, and it's not capturing.
For audio output? O-U-T-P-U-T?
Yes.
Today on the Radio Statler podcast.
Oh, it's because I had
watch
the
live how to make a podcast.
had it muted.
Yeah, you should.
Told my friends.
Oh no, that's the
Told my
mic.
friends, watch this cool podcast. I'm talking about really interesting security things, like how to record a screen.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Johnny, I still need you to answer a question for me.
What?
What is the why? Let's start with what. Why are officers or police officers stalking people on Facebook check-ins? Why? What are they getting out of this?
Oh, so that's a common law enforcement thing, especially in border towns. The whole thing that's going on with the South Dakota pipeline.
Yeah.
The police are actively trying to identify and eliminate protesters, and they're doing a lot of the find something to charge you with later bullshit. But they're going out of their way to figure out anybody who's there. And one of the things they're doing is they're using Facebook check-ins. So like, cool, let's get a list of everybody who's checked into this place and let's start hunting them down. So you take everybody who's checked in and then you start going, all right, who's got public Facebook profiles? See what you could find out of the page, go find them, go arrest them for something so that they're not there protesting, because they're getting yelled at by the government to get their shit together and clean their shit up and make it not look like there's protests going on like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But people are driving up there in droves to protest. And now what the Facebook check-in thing does is it pretty much floods that page's check-ins with hundreds of thousands of people so that the law enforcement can't actually figure out which one of you is real and who's actually there and who's not. And while that seems like kind of a dopey thing, it easily overwhelms places like that in rural areas, which have very few law enforcement officers. Some counties have literally one. And so and that they don't have computers doing this. It's one dude who's literally going through the Facebook pages going.
Like the last half all makes sense to me. I just wasn't able to grasp the whole reason of why they'd be taking the time to look for people who are checking in the first place.
Oh,
like
because
I was trying to figure out what
forcefully silence protest.
Okay, so that makes more sense. Like there was more detail. I wasn't understanding how they were benefiting by identifying people there.
That would have been a good topic for the podcast.
Yeah, well, we were already talking about it earlier.
We had talked about it earlier.
I was really perplexed by it, and no one could give me like when I would ask like what's the benefit for them identifying. It was just nobody's really giving that's a good answer. You can find something else on them, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like because you don't need to identify someone just to go up and arrest them. Like you can just show up there and arrest people if that's what you're gonna do.
Well,
so I was really confused.
The thing is, right, Johnny, is that people are being arrested for stuff that they aren't doing at the protest. So they're trolling the public to see if they have posted anything incriminating. It's like, oh, this person is protesting, and they also did this bad thing that they shouldn't be doing.
They're finding.
So let's go
arrest you for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They normally would not have arrested anyone for. But arrest being an officer's discretion thing, they're leveraging the officer's discretion to arrest everybody they can find, and just put you in holding for a while.
That makes a lot more sense.
Really though, what needs to happen is stop having public Facebook profiles.
Yep.
That's really what I'm getting from this.
Like, I don't know how much more Facebook can yell at you about your privacy settings. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Make everything super private by default.
Hey, Neo.
Kind of defeats the purpose of having Facebook, doesn't it?
Neo, I have a really important question for you.
Quest.
Was that you that was knocking on Night Owl's door?
No, it was not. I am in Selfie Central, as you can see behind me.
Somebody was knocking on his door, and we didn't know who it was. We never did find out.
It was the
I'm
cat.
pretty sure it's some neighbor kids. Wait,
It was
are
the
you
cat.
are you downtown?
I'm at Selfie Central. What else do you call this fucking piece of shit?
Are you in Times
I call
Square?
it a fucking piece of shit.
You see?
If you ever want to
Yeah,
see
that-
something trippy, you should look at both of
is
Beach's
that
greens.
the new Fulton?
Mall.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
a fucking mall.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, if
All right.
see, the lighting would be better if I were facing the opposite direction, but I don't want to advertise these assholes. They've already done
Well,
a bad
good.
enough job. I don't want to encourage it.
You don't. We don't want to do that. So
boo.
actually,
Gesundheit.
related to what we were discussing just a bit ago, the BBC a couple of days ago reported that the Ontario Provincial Police are sending
Mhm.
text messages to people who were
Mhm.
in the vicinity of a murder
Mm-hmm.
that occurred
Yes, I read about this.
well, last year.
About a year ago.
Yeah, and they are now
Yep.
sending text messages to everyone whose phone was listed as being in the vicinity at the time of the murder,
Well,
seeking
look,
information.
You have this English tradition of record keeping. I mean, you can find out who sneezed on the 4th day of December, 1893. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep a record of where your phone was.
That's easily subpoena data. The phone companies keep records of that.
Yep.
That's not new.
The question is,
Um,
did they put this out as like an Amber Alert, or did they just creepily text everybody, say, "Hi, I'm the local police department from where you've been a couple of months ago. Did you by any chance witness a murder?"
Yeah.
We'd like
At
I
to
know,
least,
know.
well,
at
let's
least
see.
they aren't texting you asking you if you committed a murder.
Can you hunt down one of those text messages?
Well, I mean,
Confess.
This is a BuzzFeed
Confess.
listicle.
Confess. Confess.
Okay,
well,
we'll find one of those.
I can't
So,
wait to make a terrible thread on r/legal advice about this in a couple months.
It's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
generate. They're gonna link to this podcast.
Like anybody ever
I'll tell you-
actually to this podcast?
Yeah.
Do we
Not
actually
the
have
phone.
listeners?
So,
two. We have two people that are currently watching.
woo!
Okay,
Which is funny
advice.
'cause-
Hello,
Confess
two
to
people.
everything.
so are we recording? Because
Now we
it's
have
not
to-
working on my end. I'll tell you that much.
Yes. It says it's recording.
Okay.
I
Right,
need three
so-
monitors. This is my problem. I need
Okay.
one for OBS and one for the dashboard.
I just need some
So-
juice.
So I told JP to hop on because I remember we had some kind of discussion about running a live radio station or the like out of a conference or hosting a conference that is entirely a radio station. I don't exactly remember what the conversation was, but
We got a few different ideas.
I told him what we do for Radio Statler and how it works at Hope, and thought he might want to come in and bounce some ideas around and see what people thought of him, because I think I shot all of them down initially. And
It was pretty justified, given that.
yeah, so tell them what you were telling me, so that I
Yeah.
don't taint it.
Yeah. So the basic problem is that cons and meetups and similar events have a lot of really great IRL networking benefits for attendees, much beyond just like, oh, you can see some talks and learn about some cool new research. So it'd be cool if we could because we're pretty good at broadcasting talks over the internet, but it would be cool if we could add to that a way to also get those networking benefits. So like have some kind of distributed type con thing with maybe like a Slack for discussion, maybe like a few different IRL meetups which are linked together. All those ideas definitely have some issues, but the conversation I was having with Johnny.
Yeah, so and then I was like, well, hey, something we do is we run the radio station out of Hope, and that like provides people who can't be there, and granted it's a lot of international listeners, it provides them kind of like a background story on what's going on there. Like we'll pull in people who were speaking and we'll do interviews with them about things other than what they spoke about. We'll have people who belong to groups like the Pirate Party come in and be on the radio for an hour and a half, and even though the Pirate Party maybe wasn't speaking at the con. There's a bunch of them there who have something to say, and so maybe it was like you would have ran into them in the hallway or some shit, or talked to them about at the bar. Now we're giving them like an hour and a mic to just kind of hang out and talk about some shit in a real casual environment. I really like that part of what we do, and it brings more of that casual hallway conversation stuff to the people who can't be there physically. It adds a lot of more depth to the con. It adds a lot of more depth to the people who are on the air, the people who are giving talks who are now being interviewed. We'll go out into the con floor and grab people and be like, hey man, you want to be on the radio and just talk about what's going on here? There was a couple of years, I think we ran the IRC channel and we were taking questions out of there. I think we were doing it this year even.
Yeah, I mean,
IRC's been there every year. It's just whether how active it is.
Yeah, the hard part with IRC is getting it so that people can actually take in, like, have that available, where people will actually be watching it that are in the booth. Like, it's there, but people in the booth will not always be looking at it.
Right. If you make it an integral part of the show or the radio station, that almost requires an engineer like we usually had, or engineer/producer that'll just constantly watch IRC and be like, hey guys, we got a question about dongs. Tell us about dongs. And then
The Internet of Dogs.
I mean,
yes.
Johnny,
you say that jokingly, but we've definitely had quite a number of like the hacking sex ones. We had Kristen Stubbs on, which is literally you could have questions about dongs.
yeah. So between
that's her bag.
and Render Man, we've had a lot of dong related episodes.
There's just something about penises.
There's a lot of dong in our
so
life.
like, I think a lot of
Dogs
it,
and
like
Casualties. This is
what
our
JP
trademark.
Dongs and Casualties, is that?
yeah.
That's our trademark. Yeah.
What JP's trying to do is kind of add a little more humanity, I guess, to conferences.
yeah, Johnny.
Neo starts laughing at that.
Sorry.
I think
Johnny,
that's
just
the
come in
episode.
there.
I just had an inhumane day, but I'm sorry. No, I agree. I mean, we've heard more about Hope from all the stuff that Side Pocket does with the man on the street type things, not that kind of thing. We've had a lot of situations where we'll get speakers and we'll just invite them and they can just talk about the great 50 varieties of honey. It's an asset, definitely. And if anything that we could do more than our usual shtick, I'm for it.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny, the best one that I ever watched on Radio Statler was the Wrong Planet guys talking about Asperger's,
That
and
one
also
was-
Captain Crunch.
No, they were very good.
Yeah, both of those were phenomenal.
Yeah,
They were
especially
awesome.
when you do it, like with talks are always very structured, and like you have to submit an outline and then you have a slide deck and a very tight time frame you can speak in. Whereas with the radio, it's more, hey, do you want to talk about this topic? Or hey, can I get an hour on the show? I have a topic I want to discuss. And you go, okay, sounds good, and we'll just put you down and you can go in and like more casually just discuss, maybe even top of your head, free flow, free form conversation, which is a lot of the cool stuff involved in human interaction at the conferences, the lobby con and stuff, because you're just hanging out and just talking about something you care about.
I mean, I will say that compared to a lot of other conferences, Hope is very permissive in what they accept as a talk to begin with.
That's true. They gave us a fucking talk, like
Yeah.
very permissive.
I mean,
Promiscuous.
They
They gave Radio Statler a talk. They gave me a talk.
They
gave
gave me
Johnny a
4
talk.
talks.
Yeah.
Well, they accepted one of my talks with Johnny on the panel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, they accepted 4 talks with my name on them,
Yeah.
which I still don't know how the hell that happened.
I had like a
Entirely.
15-year dry spell, and they
Karma
accepted 2
paid.
talks with my name on them.
Just karma.
So
Apparently. you know,
yeah, like,
you really kill yourself for a conference a couple of times, and eventually they'll let you do a talk.
and then this all came from JP's original idea, which was having like a non-con, like a con that doesn't have a physical location. If I understood that right.
Yeah.
Ah,
the air.
Yeah, a cyber con,
A
if
Con
you will.
Air.
On air.
Kind of.
And,
That's a
and-
great movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And my take on it was like, whenever you make something internet based with large groups of people, nothing great's gonna happen.
Trolls will happen.
Because like you're too easily distracted. I think like the whole reason cons exist is for that personal one-on-one interaction. And I feel like you don't get that in cyberspace, even with this. Like, it's still weird video screen. If I don't want to look at you, I can swipe to a different window.
Well, so here's one thing. It sounded earlier that you had talked about having a con at multiple locations in the same time space. But this sounds like it would just... I don't see what the benefit would necessarily be for doing... Because the thing about cons is that they happen in time and in space. So, like, you could have, like, an IRC network or channel, and that would be, like, a con with, like, a digital con without a space.
I mean,
But
Sounds more like
no time, but then you just have IRC, so what's the point?
Yeah.
Then if you had it just by time, like, oh, hey, everybody get on your computers for, this weekend, and we're just going to hang out online all weekend.
That's what this
Play
is.
Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I'm going to point out that basically, unless I'm mistaken, okay, no, never mind. We're mostly just seeing Neo wandering around downtown Manhattan. The other
Yeah,
thing
I'm
is,
sorry, my cat stopped cleaning herself.
oh no,
You guys missed it. We had a really good shot of my cat
Yeah.
cleaning her vagina.
no, that was great.
So
Really getting in there.
If that's what you like, it was great. But conceptually, really, what you need is a live streaming platform. I mean, if you look at what livestream.com and the Internet Society did for Hope, would be a good platform to start with for doing the talks. And then potentially...
But this is supposed to emulate LobbyCon, right? Not so you wouldn't have cons.
Well, but,
Yeah, I think
right, but that's the second bit, though. You need to combine that with a second, more general public chat forum where people can break off into groups. So either an IRC server where people can create their own channels if they want to do more private conversations, might be a good idea. Kind of. I mean, I deal with a lot of this sort of thing for work at the moment.
So it's kind of like having webinars, like a huge, like two, and this is exactly what JP said. Webinar, like 2 days of webinars, but you can also split off into your own groups and talk about stuff.
Right.
You can watch a stream together as a group.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds really good on paper, but it's
in terms of finding
in reality
that actually deliver that, it is very hard.
Well, and I forget services. I'm talking about commitment from human beings. Like you get a lot of energy from interacting with people, and like if you're talking even just a whole day of I got to sit in this chair and watch talks on the screen and then chat with other people, like you just, I think that lack of human to human contact will just wear you down, and you're going to get sick of it 4 hours in. And that was my concern with it. Like, it's hard for me to just work from home for 8 hours straight. Like, there's so many distractions. Like, this sucks. I'm gonna go clean the bathrooms. Like,
It is
Whereas,
a
like,
valid.
at a conference, you're trapped.
Concern.
Like you have two choices at the conference. It's either you go hang out with everybody or you sit in your room, and your room gets really boring because none of your stuff is there.
Yeah.
So like it's that forced interaction, I think, that works out. Or you can go get dinner again. So I think like
spend the entire time shit faced.
I think that's the missing piece, the forced interaction. So if you could
Yeah,
solve that,
I can see
JP.
that.
So what if you and
So
I mean-
so far, I do tend to be with the skeptics on the ideas that have been brought up so far. There isn't really anything I'm super happy about, but I do think that there is a unique set of benefits, like that forced interaction Johnny is talking about, that only really cons have, only really meetups have, and that there's a certain set of people who can't access that as much because it costs a bunch of time and money and everything to get to these cons.
I'm
I guess the core
squarely in
question
that
I
camp,
have
so I
is-
absolutely get it.
Is how do we deliver more of that to those people? Or is that even possible? Is it so you can only have a big physical meetup?
I don't
I
think that
think-
it is
I don't think it has to be
possible.
big.
I think
to be a
it
good
comes
meetup.
it comes down to actually watching the VIPs or the people who come on the channel and actually putting them on Media Goblin or some kind of thing where you can actually go and see people talking on Radio Statler and then having that as a repository for ad infinitum to so that people don't have to be live all the time. They can just go and watch it whenever they want.
I think it's the watch whenever you want that is the problem. It's removing that human interaction. It's removing the you were there with everybody doing it together thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I think what's
you go. and
Okay.
then I'll
So
what's worked for us has been the live streaming. Like that's really good. Most cons don't do live streaming, especially not over the internet. So like not only a live streaming of the talks, but then a live stream of what else is going on is really cool. Like even just like if you could throw a GoPro up over like the most generally crowded area, a GoPro up over the lobby con where like at DerbyCon, if you just threw a GoPro pointing down into the lobby of the Hilton, like you would see some hilarious, awesome things. Have you watched the most recent season of Portlandia? Anybody?
Nope.
Probably
I have not.
So, like, I think the first episode is where they're talking about how they're getting old and they don't feel like going to these huge festivals anymore because of all the downsides to festivals. And somebody says, hey, there's this service where you can get a drone and you put on this VR helmet and you have a drone that's just you at the festival. And so you get to still be at home, but you have this drone that goes around and like, oh, I want to go watch this show. Oh, I'm going to go see what's going on at this, sideshow they have going on.
So what
If you could have like a human being that you could control, like a liaison of
so Johnny,
I think if you have watched, there's a couple of episodes of Arrested Development where they have some guy that was paid that it's just like he had an iPad and they were doing like FaceTime. There's just this guy that was acting as the dude.
No.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we've had that jokes already.
Johnny, what you're talking about is a wheelie boy. When you're talking
Yeah, and there's actually a thing that's
the thing that Snowden uses when he does appearances, it's like an iPad on a Segway, basically.
Yeah, JP,
So you can roam around and interact with people.
I can't imagine what those cost.
It's a mobile telepresence rig, but on a more achievable level, I do think that this sort of thing is possible. It's just that there is no currently sort of just drop-in product that achieves all of this.
So I have
I
an
think
idea.
Jitsi. Oh, go on.
So what if you had like an event, like a con, where you had speakers lined up and it was like a webinar, but instead of going to a physical location, you would instead, if you were interested in the event, you could host or talk to like an owner of a restaurant or something, and or rent a room and be like, okay, I'm just gonna get a bunch of friends together or a bunch of people and be like, hey, I'm interested in doing this webinar. Do you want to come over to my house and watch it, or do you want to go to this bar and watch it? And we'll put it up on the screen, and then we can interact and also look at the webinar. And you could have like a little mini con in like the back room of a restaurant or something, where you're all interested in the topics at hand, but you can also go and be people with people things with it.
I
So
mean,
it'd be enough.
that's an interesting concept on the technology level. I think is where I'm sort of stuck, because a lot of what I'm doing for work at the moment involves developing online course delivery for graduate school. And so there's a lot of stuff about, attempting to recreate the classroom experience in an online environment.
Yeah, which
I
is
think
really
it's
fucking difficult.
pretty much exactly that. That's
Yeah,
exactly
no, that's
what.
that's
yeah.
so that's the thing, is that the way that we are doing this currently in that sector of things is we have what we call an LMS, a learning management system,
Yeah.
which is you create an account, and within bye bunny, within the LMS, there are essentially these small websites where where the instructor and maybe their program director or their head of department sets up the course materials and creates discussion forums and lesson plans and everything. And then so those forums provide a means for the students to interact with each other and have discussions within the group. And
Sure, but I think you're still stuck with
then
the
but
anonymity that the internet provides. I think maybe
Well,
removing
but-
anonymity might be the key thing.
well,
like logging
well,
on to
you
Twitter or
could
something?
never 100% remove anonymity from something. Eventually someone with enough resources and time and everything else will get enough high quality false documentation to impersonate someone. But there's
So the anonymity, are we talking about anonymity from like we're concerned about trolls or something else? Because
Yeah, well, I think
if it's just for
anonymity-
trolls, you
There
would
weren't
just
trolls last time.
it's
I
like,
think
oh,
with-
hey, you want to have an account or you want to join this event, pay $5 or pay $10.
With
Are you going to
anonymity,
pay $10 to be a dick on the internet that's going to get you banned? Maybe, maybe not. It's going to at least be a slight barrier of entry.
as with anything else online these days, any sort of troll management is a very difficult proposition,
yeah,
just because there's so many
so-
theories about what is actually effective and
This-
what will actually do the job.
and
Were
for
there
this,
many
if you
trolls
wanna-
last time?
What,
Listen,
for
what?
Statler?
Yeah,
No, I mean, I
mean,
think so.
2600.net has its fair share of.
Oh, right, you're talking
Yeah,
about
the
2600
the
now.
native trolls.
Well,
um,
I mean
So-
that's what.
yeah, but
Statler
the people
uses-
who actually
what you
hang
wanna
out
do
and
here-
read Statler or
Yeah.
interact with us isn't
That's what
that
Statler
bad.
uses for irc.2600.net is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
Statler
Okay,
uses.
yeah, I'm with you.
so
I mean, if
what
you're
I think what you'd want to do here is the Unix Linux method of make it do the job and then start tweaking it. At least get a full-fledged thing that's working, and then start worrying about things like troll management and all that. At least get your framework up.
Right.
And like, we're still dealing with framework here. Like, forget compelling people to not be trolls. What compels them to attend in the first place? We're all sick of webinars. We've all done webinars. We've all not paid attention to any webinar ever in our lives. And yet we all will go to work on Monday and watch all the DEF CON talks. And maybe that's just because of the nature of the talk. They're not webinars. They're not vendors trying to sell us something. They're not full of people telling us things we already know, more or less.
I mean, two things, Johnny, that come to mind. One is for JP, but I'll come to that in a second. The first thing is when I log into Radio Statler on IRC, and you know, I can't go to Hope because like I'm in Europe and stuff. Like, it would be good if I could get on maybe Jitsi, you know, Jitsi, and or something similar, and you know, show my face there and have be a presence kind of on Jitsi. I think that would improve things as opposed to Google Hangouts. And the second thing was JP. I don't know if you've heard of Ubuntu Online Summit, but that's going to happen in the next. You may want to Google that. It's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, and that may be something to do with what you're talking about as an example of kind of webinars and show and tell, people on IRC and all the rest of it. So, sorry, getting back to the Jitsi thing, John.
Man, just plugging the Ubuntu in every episode, Kieran.
So, I mean, the real thing, I think, because I really actually like this concept.
It's something that
personally,
needs to
just
exist.
because
It's a matter of figuring out how to make it exist. Maybe
right. Well,
the advent
Johnny,
of virtual reality is really going to help that.
maybe. I mean, the main thing though is just like putting on a conference in a physical location. The first thing to do is find the right combination of products and services to actually deliver the thing, because that's the equivalent of finding the conference space and getting the contract signed to make sure that you have power and communications and vendor resources and all the things that you need to actually put on the physical conference. You know, once you actually have figured out a way to deliver the conference, then you can worry about how to manage attendees, how to deal with troublemakers, how to deal with the bad actors in all of that.
Right.
Because if you don't have a conference, if you don't have an event, what's the point of worrying about, oh, well, what if a troll gets in there?
That's exactly what I said. You get your framework up and running, and then start tweaking once you, but have a functional product.
I'm sorry, I missed a chunk of it because I was getting a drink.
Oh, okay. Yes, I said all of that.
We're on the same page.
Woo!
Yay!
All right.
So, yeah, but then it's a matter of like, what are all the other things that a conference has, like besides talks, and that's what you got to figure out how to integrate, like DerbyCon has like the Hackers for Charity auctions that are immensely popular, and that's fun because you get to stand in a huge crowd and yell and watch people spend a lot of money, and you can be a troll and it's welcome. It's an appropriate place for trolling. You have your Hacker Jeopardy that's in Hacker Pyramid, like that are hugely popular. DEF CON. But a lot of that stems from it's fun to be in a densely packed room with a bunch of people who share the same views, yelling.
And
yelling is fun.
That is one thing that most existing teleconferencing and online communication stuff does not replicate well.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand,
it's incredibly isolating. Being in a webinar with 400 people, it's incredibly isolating. Because I'm still here. Like, all I do is turn my head, and this is what I see. Like, it's. And like again, I think maybe something VR.
For some people, it works well. For some people, it works well. If you really, really need that being packed in a room with 100 other screaming people, then VR may actually allow you to address that. On the other hand, for the audience where that sort of interaction doesn't work well for them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm only one very extreme personality type. Maybe the solution we're shooting down is perfect for people who don't go to conferences because they don't like all of those things.
I mean,
well, they can't be
someone.
You could offer
as someone who my conference attendance is limited by a combination of my difficulty with in-person social interactions and
Right.
my personal finances, which are extremely limiting. The idea of, hey, if I can just have to worry about setting aside a long weekend and $5, $10, $15 to register for this thing, and I can still get a lot of these similar interactions. I mean, nothing is ever going to fully replace the experience of, being in the downstairs lobby at the Washington Hilton at 3 a.m. On the last day of ShmooCon with six liters of bourbon, and
I mean,
no,
that's
I mean,
my house is like that a lot.
well, yeah, but you have space for it, but you're hanging out there sharing a bottle of booze and a cigar with Steve Rogan, having a chat about crazy physical security and pen testing stories, and then the next moment you're playing poker with someone, and the next moment you're going over the intricacies of RFID over-the-air encryption standards or something. That is an experience that is extremely difficult to replicate online. That really freewheeling conversation.
What does
Now-
JP think?
Wait, what? Yes,
So
JP.
I
Weigh
think
in.
I'm also disappointed that there's certainly a good amount of con stuff that we can't really realistically replicate. But at the same time, I feel like it might be worth a try just to see what happens. There's definitely good things that could happen if it was done intelligently and people put a bunch of work in promoting it and ensuring that the quality was really high of talks and generally setting up a bunch of nice infrastructure. So I think it's a bunch of work for a questionable payoff, but I think it could be really cool.
But I mean, that's just conferences in general. It's a shitload
Every
of work
conference.
for a very questionable payoff. Unless
Every
this
conference.
is, unless you've established yourself, like for the first time you do a con, it's holy shit. Like it's a fuckload of work. You don't know if it's going to pay off until you really get established. You don't know if it's going to live or die. Like it takes a couple of times, and that's just with a regular fucking con. So I mean, I would say do it. So one thing I would do if I was wanting to set up a con like this is I would look at something kind of like what Libra Planet does, and I would see. So they do like live streaming, and you can chat via IRC.
Michael, what are you doing? What are you eating? Did you bring enough to share?
Stop it!
He's here.
Stop it!
What's up?
Oh, stop it! I love you. I missed
You're
you.
ringing my bell again.
How are
Damn
your
it.
children?
He's got
Child,
chicken.
you have one,
He's
right?
He's
Tiny.
eating it. Cooked.
He's eating his child. You cooked your child?
Where do you think chicken wings come from? Babies.
Oh no!
They're just
What about
full
bone? Is that boneless
baby-
too? Is it
baby
still
wings.
just
Babies are
smaller
just full of chicken wings.
No, I have the bones in. That's where the flavor comes from.
But so
Anyway.
like
Continue on without me.
so Libra Planet, they do like a stream, so you could have the live streaming aspect, and then I would do like a small con space, and it's all going to be all about what talks you get, and then I would see about actually doing kind of like I want to host a viewing party thing, so then people could go to a relatively local geographic location and actually be with other people who are interested in viewing that event.
That's an interesting
I think
idea.
that-
I mean, I did mention it like 30 minutes ago, but
Yeah,
yes.
It's not a bad concept.
So you could pretty much be like, hey, I want to watch this thing. I've talked to so-and-so restaurant owner. I'm going to set up a TV in the back room, and we can just, if you're interested, just show up. And then you could have like, I want to do it at my house. If you don't want to interact with people, you can just interact like online with people too. You don't have to go
So,
to a
like-
physical place, but if you want to have physical interaction, you could probably be like, hey, I'm going to be at this place doing this thing. You should, if you're close by, you should also come and be at this place, and we can do this thing, and then interact as people.
If there was a popular con that was doing live streaming during a BurbSec night, and I was not at the con, I would do what I could to see if I could get that live stream going at the BurbSec. And I think that's exactly what he's talking about, is you get 15 to 40 people in the same room who share the same interests. And then you have the talks and stuff streaming. Everybody can watch, and then in the meantime, you can hang out and talk. You can leave the room and talk if you don't want to interrupt the talks. So like very mini con, but the talks are still remote. But the talks are on a time schedule. So like, unlike
actually,
all the DEF CON videos that I work on Monday, like if you want to watch the talk that's at 1:30, like,
oh shit, it's 1:30. We have to.
Yeah,
I mean that would work. That would work. The only thing is, like, I've been to 3 Radio Statler things so far on Hope.net and on the conference remotely, and I've only had maybe interactions on IRC with usually about 6, maybe a dozen, maximum 20 people. So my question is, where are all these, users?
I think
is this something that's ongoing that you're going to look forward to and say, well, if it happens, then great. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure if
I would say that for one thing, Hope is probably the worst possible example or sample area, given that Hope very specifically does its best to make itself as open and accessible to people as possible. And I mean, yes, there's always going to be people who can't even afford the relatively low investment that it takes to attend
I think that's a significant investment. Hope is expensive as shit.
It's expensive, and most of the expensiveness is it being in New York.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean,
I don't even know if you guys exist. Like, you guys could all be part of a simulation or something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we could all be a part of a simulation.
Yeah,
we all are.
I don't know if you've seen it. I've never seen a picture of you.
We can't see you, man. You're just a black spot.
I'm on
here.
3G. I'd rather not. I'd rather not give my image.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But
Nick God says that Hope is expensive, and that it's one of the most expensive cons that he goes to.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, it's okay for me at least compared to.
You live in...
Well, yes, because because all I need to do is get subway fare and a ticket. It's very cheap for me, but that's why I have never been to, say, DEF CON, for instance, because DEF CON requires me to have round trip airfare to Vegas and a hotel room and a ticket and everything else. ShmooCon, the only reason I get to ShmooCon is because I can get a $35 Greyhound ticket, and I get free admission because I spend the entire weekend working for Tool in Lockpick Village, and I do nothing else.
I think my expenses seem to be somewhat less limiting than Night Owls, and I still don't get out to DEF CON that often because of the expense. Like, it's just insanity. Like a $500 plane ticket for Vegas, like that's $500. Like, I could buy some nice shit with $500.
I want to just take a moment to appreciate the fact that you said a $500 plane ticket. That's $500.
It is. It's $500. Is what I said.
It is $500. Your point is well met. I just think it's hilarious.
$500 is indeed $500.
Yes.
But yeah.
Well, I pointed that out because humans are
not a small amount of money. I'm just
humans are terrible.
The larger point, though, is, if Johnny is having trouble managing a $500 ticket,
and I'm employed,
and he is gainfully employed.
Yes, one would hope.
I'm only gainful. Right?
I'm technically employed. I'm technically employed. Just my paychecks still put me below the local poverty line.
Yeah.
So the point is though that a conference that minimizes those barriers, the barrier of traveling to a specific location, particularly one that just says, look, you can interact from home, you can interact from some local space where all you need to do is get a group together and get somewhere local to you, where you just need to drive a couple of miles, or you just need to get local mass transit fare. It is something that opens up the opportunity to a lot of people. And just, if you're trying to use hope as an example of why that doesn't work, I would say that aside from the travel expense, hope is probably one of the cheapest conferences to attend. The number of people that camp out on the vendor floor, on the mezzanine during hope.
I do love that. I have done that many years.
That was
Hope
me.
is the only conference I know of
this
where I
year.
could just go, this is where I'm sleeping, guys, and it's totally fine with everyone at the conference.
That's what I
including
do every year.
Yeah.
That's what I do every year. I just pack an army surplus sleeping pad and a poncho, and I roll under a vendor table.
Yeah.
Yep. Ditto.
And I'm there for 3 days, and that's me with 400 pounds of locks and shit, doing my talks, spending my time at the Lockpick Village, spending my time working the conference, doing talks, volunteering in all sorts of crazy ways. I do all this stuff, and it's me and a couple of Pelican cases with a sleeping pad and a poncho, and I just camp out somewhere, and I find someone relatively trustworthy to just say, hey, look, if someone tries to cart off the giant pile of Pelican cases and it's not me, they're trying to steal my shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I put high security locks on everything, so I'm not terribly worried about people going and messing with my shit.
Well, I mean, I leave shit unattended at the Radio Statler booth pretty frequently. Like, for some reason, Hope is just ridiculously safe.
Well,
Like-
I mean, it helps that all of us kind of depend on that. So,
Yeah.
there is a very strong and very immediate reaction to someone who attempts to exploit the trusting nature of many of us in that environment, which tends to involve, some very large men who moonlight as leg breakers and tow truck drivers.
As very large men.
And, are just all the time very large men coming up to you and asking to have a quiet word somewhere where you won't be missed.
I think we got off topic.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we did. Somehow we ended up on large burly men, so...
But I think as a place to start, what I would do is take established conferences that are going to have not only attendees, like lots of attendees, but also lots of people who desire to attend but can't, either for financial or personality reasons or whatever, and see what you could do about creating some sort of assistive technology for correcting that. And what I'm picturing in my head is 3D, like 360 cameras, because virtual reality is officially taken off. And I bet most of if you could get some kind of legit high-speed internet connection with like live stream. I think the way live stream works is you stream one stream up to them, and then they host it from the cloud in real time. So if you can throw like 360 cameras, not only in the talks, and I think that's really important in the talks, because you need that, and you stick the camera like somewhere, and then like you give it a seat in the talk, like not right up front. You put it like 3 rows back, but you can look around, you can see people. If somebody's asking a question, like you could turn around and look at who's asking the question. if somebody's doing something funny in the room, because you watch these talks all the time and you hear the audience like burst out into laughter for no reason, and the speaker is obviously addressing something funny going on in the crowd. And like you want it, like you're like, wow, I wonder what that was. Like with the virtual reality and the 360 cameras, like you can look over and see what it was. And not only in the talks, but in the densely populated areas of the cons. You know, throw one in the lobby, and I'm just imagining DerbyCon as an example. Throw one inside the lobby by like the escalators. Throw one in the bar. Throw one out front.
The one issue I see there is I would be vaguely uncomfortable always being on camera at a security con, and I think a lot of people would too.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You know, I think that creating an environment for that same or an approximation of that voluntary grouping off for people to have small discussions is really important. And I mean, I've seen some tools, some systems and services that do that sort of thing fairly well. I've been working with WebEx a lot lately, and they do have a system that lets you, as an attendee, create a breakout session, which on the fly, you and a group of people can just go off, create your own private room separate from everyone, have a conversation for a while. You can share pictures, you can share webcams, you can converse. They've got a whiteboard tool that you can share and pass around all that. And then you can go back to that large group that's watching the big main presentation or spectacle or whatever. You know, there's no, like, currently I don't know of any just drop-in technology solution, service or product that does all of these things well and does it all right. But I think that there are a lot of different tools that, if combined in the right way with a bit of work, can be turned into something that would actually approximate, or in as much as possible, approximate that a lot of that experience.
So what I was thinking on my fag break was, I don't want to be the dick who comes in and like with these ideas, because I have nothing to do with Radio Statler, or I'm just an observer. But an ether pad would be really cool. Does anyone know what an ether pad is?
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah, it's like an ephemeral whiteboard type thing that everyone can edit.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe in the IRC description, the title of the IRC, just put it as a link. So people can leave messages. That's not difficult to do either. That was my cigarette break.
All right. Yeah, and so it seems like everyone agrees, like it is a problem that needs a solution, but it comes down to, is it a problem that can be solved, or are you trying to solve humanity itself? Like,
yeah,
are you trying to solve for human nature? Like, is it a futile endeavor, or is there some legitimacy to the effort being put into it?
I mean, I could see like virtualizing some kind of online bar or something like that where everyone goes to. But I would talk to the Jitsi people. I would say, look, is there something you can throw up as like a bit of a, a hangout session that is not Google Plus, that can have maybe 20 people on it that people can join with webcam and be hosted locally and all the rest of it. I think that would work out okay as like just a hangout bar type of thing for people who can't be there. But you're only really talking about a maximum of a dozen people, I'll be honest with you, and that's over 48 hours.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I mean, I'm the guy in the background who doesn't say much and, you know, drops in an IRC every so often and has a chat with people, but, you know, it's just because I can't be there.
That's fair.
Ubuntu.
Yeah! Woohoo! Buy support contracts.
Close to London, you know.
Oh man.
So what do you think about talking to the Jitsi people anyway? Is that a goer or?
What?
Talking, do you know what I say when I say Jitsi or Jitsu or whatever it is? Jitsi.
I don't
Jitsi
personally.
meat.
What? No. Nope.
I looked it up.
Okay. Jitsi is fantastic. European organization. Let me just.
Oh. Formerly Stiff
It's-
Communicator, free and open source multi-platform voice video conferencing and instant messaging application for Windows, Linux, OS X, and Android.
Yeah, mostly Linux, but I mean it works on anything and phones as well. Let me just type this in. I actually lost my mouse this week, so you have to bear with me. We could all be on that now.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed. Like, that's the thing that's kind of nice about this is that if we ever want to change Hangouts to something that isn't Hangouts, we can. Because OBS is what's actually doing the streaming, so.
And the cross-platform nature of this is very important for most of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's true.
They're pretty open. I think they're a Finnish or a Swedish company. I think they're Finnish. But
For anyone that
I think that's Swedish.
For anyone that wants an update, Neo is currently listening to War of the Worlds.
That's a good thing to listen to.
I think he's back in the tunnels.
Right.
But back to the topic of conversation.
I mean, I can tell you what I know about Jitsi if you want.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so I went to FOSDEM in 2012, which is the European Free and Open Source Online Summit or whatever. I was actually physically there, and they gave a talk on. It was basically the forerunner to Google Hangouts. They've been around for a while, and the good thing is that it's not recorded unless you record it locally on your own system. So it's really good for, I mean, God knows who uses it, but I mean, it's good for having conversations with people that you don't want to, have a record of. And they're pretty open about being, hacking their software and stuff like that. They're pretty open source. So if you could do something like that, that would be pretty awesome. I think they're on GitHub. And then about, that's about as much as I know about them, to be honest with you. It was a while ago since I heard from them. They're very quiet people.
I actually gotta head out pretty soon.
I'm in the same boat, actually.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten beer yet, and I probably need to carve pumpkins.
Got some friends I'm meeting up with.
You got like 2 hours left to Halloween. in your time
No,
zone.
I have 4 hours, 3.5.
I'm in college. Halloween starts in a few hours.
You're in
Are
college?
you on the East Coast?
What?
I'm like a sophomore.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
I've just been hanging out with Johnny since I was like in high school. But
Cool.
it's been real. We should do this again sometime.
Every
Tell you what,
every month.
last Monday.
Every last Monday.
Or
Just-
whenever
How did
he
that-
gets around to it.
No, it's
How
fine.
did that,
Speaking every last.
Start talking? I'll actually totally take you up on that at the end of November.
Yeah, you're around.
See y'all in a month in that case.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace out.
See you around.
How did that Google survey forms thing go about changing the date or whatever? That I saw
We
on,
got 3 responses. Most of them said to keep it where it
All
is.
right.
And then somebody put in the alternate, like the any other additional information. Somebody put in like penis. I was like, yep, that sounds about right.
Okay, that one was not me. I was one of the other 2.
But let me go see. I haven't actually. Let's go look. I thought it was funny. We had somebody post today on the Radio Statler group and said the links on hope.net are no worky for radio. Please listen to radio from Hope 11 because there's no more stream. Please fix it. And I was like, yes, there's no streaming because it's not Hope. But if you want the archives, which Nick Gunn, I want to talk to you. I know you're watching. I hope you're watching.
You better
I want to talk
watch.
to you about. Let's just put all of the archives and just put them in order in a giant playlist and just play that on repeat in between hopes. With the stuff from that other. Oh, can't brain. Haven't had dinner. Oh,
Matthew, did you keep a recording of all of the streams from Radio Statler booth, or was that just something that went into the ether?
If you go to radio.hope.net/archive, not archive.html, just archive / you'll see pretty much all of the archived audio. We do cut some stuff out, mostly because
video. Did you take the video?
So the video is kind of a harder question to answer. The issue with the video is that when we did the video streaming, that wasn't on Google Hangouts, but the stuff before that, which was Justin TV.
Yeah.
Justin
That's right.
TV.
I remember Justin TV.
Yeah, I remember Justin TV. Yeah.
Yeah, so we used Justin TV, and then Justin TV no longer exists. So on archive.org, there's like a huge dump of the Justin.tv videos, and the Radio Statler stuff may or may not be in there. So if you want to go look for it, have fun. But otherwise, no.
I mean, I got a bit of it. I've got a bit of recordings from 2012.
Well, if you want to give them to me, I'll put them on our YouTube page.
They're on a hard drive at the back of the cabinet, so I'll have to just give me a couple of years and I'll come around and show them.
All right then. Yeah, we have 3.
I got Captain Crunch, and I got the Wrong Planet Asperger's people. And every so often I dig out the hard drive, I have a look at them, and I think, yeah, that's what it's like to be at a hacking conference. Everyone's on the spectrum. Well, so much so anyway.
Yeah. All right. I
all
got
the audio's up there. All right.
I have family coming.
What?
Yeah.
So yeah. So for other comments from the survey, we had of the 3 responders, we got 2 responses. One of them was "I like turtles," and the other one was "penis" in all caps.
I like turtles was me.
Neither of those was me.
I don't feel
Penis may also have been me, and I don't remember. Ask me.
I'm gonna say the respondents were me and Johnny, with Johnny doing all the write-ins.
Don't put a blank text box because I want to put some fucking text in it.
Well, I want you to put fucking text in it because so here's the logic. I know that like 98%, or in this case 66%, is gonna be trolley shitpost stuff. But maybe there is something that I forgot, and somebody will tell me about it. So I'm willing to go through, especially since we usually don't get that many responses. I'm willing to go through and look at all of the shit. Also, it's kind of amusing to me. I'm just gonna out there.
Right.
Anyway, I think we should call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I
we're
think-
heading in that
we've run our
direction.
course. I'm ridiculously hungry, so I'm gonna go eat.
Bye.
This was a good talk. I'm glad that we got to do this.
I have potatoes.
Potatoes are delicious. I'm jealous.
I wish I had potatoes.
The spuds.
I need some potatoes.
All right.
I also need some
Bye-bye.
whiskey.
See you,
Bye now.
everyone. See you another month. Bye. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you.